You're listening to Critical Mass Radio. Now, it's our turn.
Good evening, world, and welcome to the Changing Consciousness Show, coming live from Bolton in Greater Manchester, England. I'm the Boxing Vicar, broadcasting on blogtalk.com, which hosts criticalmassradio.co.uk, and tonight my program is about waking up. The time for change is now. It has been overdue, and it has been a long time coming. We were warned in 1972, 40 years ago, that the world was not able to sustain growing human population with ever-increasing food consumption. No one wanted to know. No one wanted to listen, taking it as a picture of doom and gloom that could be avoided. Politicians, scientists, and big corporations believed that by investing money in landfills, new technology, growing more sustainable crops, and modifying them genetically, a fatal move. Big corporations, I don't want to name any, who control almost everything, especially seeds, and is infesting the world with genetically modified maize, soya, wheat, etc., much to the detriment of our health. If you want to know more, then look up food on Google and watch online. They fattened livestock, provided more housing, full employment, education, and created wealth for the Western world, that things would be okay. And it was for a time, while the other parts of the world starved. Hey, I just want to share something with you, that on the 22nd of July 1974, I had what I call the last of my spiritual dreams while I was at Chichester Theological College. This is how it took place. It was in Technicolor. I was standing looking out of the window on a warm summer's evening when a swarm of flying ants came streaming through, brushing against my face, but not disturbing me. I heard a voice saying, "What you are seeing are these creatures who have multiplied because of over-fertilization of the land, and there is famine." Then a woman, dressed and veiled in white, materialized in front of me. Sounds strange, doesn't it? She pointed her finger towards a transparent film, which developed into a frightening scene where there were terrific thunderstorms, lightning, earthquakes. I saw trains, cars, houses, and buildings being tossed up in the air. Then a voice said, "What you see now is nature in revolt. These things will come to pass, but do not be afraid, my son, for all will be well in the end." I fell on my knees in awe. I was surprised. And I turned to the woman and I asked her, "Who are you? What is your name?" And she said, "I am the handmaid of the Lord." And then I woke up. Hey, I'll tell you what, I woke up in a sweat. But anyway, we're going to listen to some music now. Yes, you're listening to the Changing Consciousness Show coming from Bolton in Greater Manchester. And tonight the program is about waking up. The time for change is now. I suppose everyone will be in the know regarding the 21st of December 2012, the day of the winter solstice, when we come to the end of the Mayan calendar, which will conclude a 26,000-year cycle of the precession of the equinox. Precessional change is said to be a change of the orientation of a rotational axis of a rotating body. Although I do not understand the full working out of astronomers, it is generally understood that the constellation years are Tarsus, entering during the year 45,000 BC and exiting in the year 2000 BC. Aries then entering in the year 2000 BC and exiting in the year 100 BC, and Pisces entering in the year 100 BC and exiting in the year 27,000 AD. The age of Aquarius as an astrological term denotes either the current or upcoming astrological age. I'm told that the cycle is calculated and divided up by astrologers into 12 signs or months of the 25,920 years cycle. So it takes an equinox sun approximately 2,160 years to transit one of the 12 constellations. So I'm told. And on the 25,920th year cycle around the zodiac, before a new sign appears on the horizon. And the Mayan calendar that was adopted by the Mesoamerican nations, such as the Aztecs, one of them, have an overall calendar length of 5,125 years, which the Mayans referred to as an overall cycle as a world age. The 5 world ages almost add up to the length of the precessional cycle, which is 25,625 years. And folks, we are living in the time that comes approximately to that 26,000 year cycle called the precession of the equinox. And that date apparently will fall on Friday, the 21st of December, 2012. And my show will be live coming from Germany at that. Well, I hope you enjoyed that Star Wars. I quite liked it. And it goes with the theme for tonight. There's always been prophecies and predictions from around all over the world as to the possible doomsday, and 21st of December 2012 is one of those dates. Yes, the Mayan calendar is one of those, but it does not predict the end of the world. It does predict the end of an age. One of the modern predictions come from WebBot project. You can look that up on the web. It's WebBot project. So there are always these kind of doom. It refers to a computer program that is claimed to be able to predict future events by tracking keyboard keywords entered on the internet, and it was supposed to be developed in the 1990s to predict stock market trends. Well, make of that what you will. I hope you didn't put money on the stock market. Some scientists, too, have something to say on the subject. It's claiming that the sun will be hidden behind the moon and that it will not give light to the earth for a few days. So make sure you got plenty of candles with you. Also, there will be a change in polarity as the Earth's magnetic field does a flip, and there will be a change in gravitational forces. So again, make sure that you've got the the up-to-date navigation system. So there is much talk taking place that something disastrous is going to happen on Friday, the 21st of December 2012. To me, it's just going to be another day where hopefully I shall be broadcasting at this time from Gammersheim in Germany. So I do not expect it to be the end of the world, but I'll tell you what I do believe is that we're going to go through further hard times in 2013 with much more austerity, world conflict still continuing through the next decade. I do, however, believe we are in the process of change. We'll talk about that later on in the show. There is something unusual taking place. There's a change of consciousness. But change is a continuous part of life. And I do believe there's a door of opportunity which is opening to us as never before. But we actually have to work for it. Somebody isn't going to come. There isn't going to be a God. There isn't going to be this big savior who's going to come and sort things out for us. No, we have to sort it out for ourselves. Information technology is providing the seed for revolution, a new kind of revolution. And each one, if we are awake, will play a major role as mass communication brings people together on the internet to form cells of eco-villages, perhaps. These will become the bedrock of change in the coming years. None of these, however, I believe will take place overnight. Never has. But before new life appears, I feel there's going to be painful birth pangs as society as we know it undergoes radical change of global consciousness. Well, welcome to the world. Welcome to those in chat box. Yvonne, Rob, Paul, all the gang. Good to see you in there and that you're chatting away. You're listening to the Changing Consciousness Show, coming live from Bolton in Greater Manchester, England. Yes, I'm the Boxing Vicar, broadcasting on criticalmassradio.co.uk. Tonight, the program is about waking up. And the first part of this evening, we're going to look at what might or might not happen on the 21st of December 2012, when the Mayan calendar comes to an end, and a new world begins. I think that's what excites me, a new world age. I'm suggesting that the age is going to bring a revolution of global consciousness, which I believe began with the age of reason in the 1700s. Hey, way past. And it has continued to burn on a slow fuse over the centuries as the wheels of change turned, till we started to see its effects with social change in the 1960s. Now, some of you listening may not have been born then, but the 1916s opened up the sexual revolution, and it brought in, on the closing of the 20th century towards that end, new life. And do you know that something exciting took place in Manchester during the year 2004, when two physicists, Professor André Guillaume and Professor Konstantin Novoselvo, I hope I pronounced that right, were awarded the Nobel Prize for Physics for their invention of graphene at the University of Manchester. Now, graphene is seen as a new material and will be among the fastest growing areas in nanoscience during the 21st century. You may not, or you may have noticed that over the past 5 years, nanotechnology has begun to be recognized as a key technology for the future. So much so that governments have already invested billions of dollars in its research. For example, the United States of America have invested $3.7 billion in its research. The European Union, $1.2 billion, and Japan, $75 million. Something's going on here if people are investing and governments are investing. So we, the people of the world, need to be alert. Because in any change that takes place, if we do not keep alert, the people who govern, who seek power, will take control. Anyway, this is going to be a fairly heavy subject for the night. Well, let's fall in love, because I think that that's something which does make the world go round, but it does also bring hiccups, doesn't it? Because love never runs smoothly. Anyway, the program for tonight is going to look at how global consciousness is being awakened, and partly, and one of the reasons for that is because of technology. And graphene is going to be, it's a two-dimensional structure of carbon, which has been found to have remarkable electronic, optical, mechanical, and chemical properties. And it continues to be the subject of intense research for communication and information technology. The development of graphene is now being considered to enhance the applications of items as diverse as plastic packaging to next generation gigahertz transistors and computers, making it possible for electrons to travel faster than they do in silicon, the substance currently used for computer chips now. So eventually, you will have what they'll call smart wallpaper, because you'll have graphene wallpaper. You'll most probably be able to, the material is going to be so flexible, paper thin, that in future smartphones, computers, they could be rolled up like a pencil and carried in a pocket. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine that? Graphene is a single layer of carbon atoms tightly packed in two-dimensional structure, and is said to be the strongest, thinnest, and most conductive material discovered so far. And that was discovered by two physicists in Manchester. Manchester somehow has always been a center for invention, a center for change. I don't know why. If anyone listening in Manchester, anyone around the world, if you can give me some reason why Manchester has always been this hub of activity, I'd be interesting to know. We're going to listen again to some music. It's good to have a break now and again, because until I get one or two people, manage to get them on the show and talk and give their points of view, you have to put up with my voice, and therefore it needs a good break now and again with some music. Anyway, what I want to do is now to listen to a piece of conversation about global consciousness, and we're looking to see, that's what we're going to move on to now, is we've seen how technology has actually put the whole world, put all of us in a situation where we can communicate with one another right across the globe on the internet. And it's one of the most significant technological developments which has brought about a revolution, a change in social communication right throughout the world. And that's what we're enjoying now. So we're going to have a listen to a communication which I picked up from the American radio, and it's about global consciousness.
A question tonight, can you actually measure the emotional outpouring in a worldwide crisis?
Sometimes scientists think that they have done just that. Their machines and computers found a bizarre pattern right after several global disasters.
CBS 2's Brendan Keefe explains this phenomenon.
September 11th deeply affected people far beyond New York and Washington. The attack sent shockwaves around the world, a global reaction that triggered a spike in a network of scientific instruments, just like a seismograph during an earthquake.
Each of those showed a similar pattern of change during that day.
Retired Princeton scientist Dr. Roger Nelson believes the emotional focus of millions of people on a single event like 9/11 may form a global consciousness.
Does consciousness interact directly with the physical world?
To answer that question, Dr. Nelson and his colleagues deployed dozens of instruments around the world, random number generators. Basically, they're electronic coin flippers. Instead of heads or tails, each generates a 1 or a 0 200 times a second. If you flip a coin 100 times, you'd expect a result of about 50-50, 50 heads and 50 tails. But what if every time you flip that coin, it came up heads? Not once, not twice, not 50 times, but 60, 70, or even 80, all of them heads.
We do that every second at each of, now we have about 65 places around the world.
When truly random, the line of data wanders back and forth around 50-50 in a pattern the researchers call a drunkard's walk.
And then in 9/11, it begins not being a drunkard's walk. It goes like this for 2 days.
It may sound bizarre, but Dr. Nelson and his team have been at this for the better part of a decade. The first spike showed up in 1997 with the death of Princess Diana. Other events like the Concorde crash, the Madrid train bombing, and the Pope's funeral all registered on those random number generators. But early on the morning of September 11th, the data went off the charts.
Several hours before the first plane hit. We don't know how to explain that.
There's nothing there.
Jeff Scargill, a research astrophysicist with NASA, admires the team's use of scientific method, but questions its results.
It's finding patterns in random data. The nature of randomness is that any pattern that you want to choose ahead of time will eventually show up, and just as an accident.
It could happen by chance, but the chance is like 1 in a million or 1 in some really large number.
How does it work, and what does it all mean? Even the scientists don't know. The implications go beyond science into philosophy and religion. All we know is this: at this very moment, around the globe, the random number generators keep flipping those virtual coins, waiting to record our collective reaction to the next major world event. At Princeton, Brendan Keefe, CBS 2 News.
Well, I hope that made sense. The World Wide Web has given humanity a tool for global communication and interconnectivity. It has become the central to the lives of millions of people, and those of you who are listening in now, and myself broadcasting, we're part of that reality. And it's become central to the lives of millions of people, businesses and organizations, linking humanity together in ways never imagined before, never imagined a few decades ago. And we're only on the verge of understanding its full potential. I think we're lucky to be alive. A lot of people are afraid of an ending to this world, actually, I'm excited because it's the beginning of the world for me. And I think I've just got Ruth on. I'm going to try and, I haven't done this before, so I'm going to try and involve her to come in and see if this works. So am I still on? Can you all still hear me? I hope so. But I'm waiting to see if Ruth actually, if she comes on. And so I haven't tried this one before. Anyway, no news yet. So we have all in our midst a new model of developing universal consciousness. I don't know what that means yet, but we have sufficient knowledge and information. It's available to anyone, anywhere. All we need is a computer, and we have access to a unified body of knowledge and potential for interconnection with everyone else who is on the internet. Ruth, I don't know if you can hear me. Are you on there? Obviously not. So science and spirituality have been brought together in a unique way. Very much that mystics have said for so many years down the line, that we can have access to this infinite knowledge through meditation, to a dimension of oneness in which everything is simultaneously present, where all knowledge is accessible. I've actually experienced that in an out-of-body experience, which I had in 1968, long time ago, when I was trying to meditate on Zen. And after looking at all the various positions, nothing happened. So I actually threw the books away. And hello, is that Ruth? I'm here, but you need to call me, right? I'm going to try calling Ruth. I hope it works. Or may have to okay, still nothing's happening. I'm calling Ruth, but I'm not being, the call has failed, so that hasn't worked, obviously. So sorry, Ruth, if you're listening there, I haven't been able to call you. I've tried to call you, but the call's failed. So I'll have to just continue doing this. I was hoping you'd be there so we could have some of your input. Okay, we're in the infant stage of the internet and social revolution of a global consciousness, a oneness and an interrelationship that will defy the barriers of nationality, geography, so the mind can be everywhere at the same time. Anyway, coming back, I had this experience in 1968, and after trying the various forms of breathing and sitting lotus positions and all, nothing happened. And I put the books aside, and I thought, well, what I'm interested in is whatever the truth is, who am I, what's reality, what's life? And then I had an out-of-body experience. I saw myself looking from above on a ceiling, looking at myself below, and I heard the voice of silence, and it scared me because I was not in control. So I pulled out because we all like to be in control. I wasn't at this stage, I came out and I thought, maybe I'm going mad. Maybe I'm having a nervous breakdown. And but there was something there I touched, and I wanted to go back. And I thought, okay, if I'm going to have a nervous breakdown, I'm going to have it. If I'm going to go mad, I'm going to go mad. But there was something there I wanted to touch. And I went back again. But I didn't know the procedure because I didn't have a format. I didn't have a procedure of meditation. So I just sat down. And when I sat down, I had to wait. And waited and waited, and then it happened again. But I saw myself looking down below. But as I looked up, all I could see was my eyes. And then my eyes looked down on my body, which then broke into various colors of red and blue, green, like the rainbow, I suppose. And then, I suppose, again, this is physics. Light is a compound thing. So when all the colors came together, it came to light. And that's what I saw, light, and that was the truth. And it was a fraction of a second. I don't know, it may have been 1,000th of a second. But I saw myself for who I am. I saw life. And I think that that's what mystics are trying to say, that we are in this process of global consciousness through technology. So science and technology are coming together in this mysterious way. It's not a hierarchical structure. And despite some companies and governments who want to control it, to create and take it over for themselves, we have to create a global democracy. Folks, this is what it's about. Hey world, we have to wake up. For the time being, we use the internet to access information and communication via email, Facebook, Skype, and so on. But its full potential for networking on global consciousness, on a global consciousness level throughout the world, is only just beginning. It's only just beginning. And like any new baby, it needs nurturing and it needs to be taken care of. One of the limitations of our present understanding of the internet is that we do not fully realize its potential and dynamic power to create new connections. I only wish that I'm able to, maybe in a couple of weeks' time, be able to communicate with other people and have a dialogue instead of a monologue going. Well, hello, and you're listening to the Changing Consciousness show. We've been looking at global consciousness and the role of the internet, how science and spirituality are coming together in a new way. And it's nothing to do with religion, but it's to do with the human spirit. So, well, folks, from now on, I'm just going to have to rock and roll because I've tried to contact somebody to speak with today so we could have a dialogue and haven't been successful. So this is just rock and roll time with me just speaking about my experience. And I spoke to John Stephen Veitch, V-E-I-T-C-H. We made contact over the internet because both of us are of a similar age, and he's a journalist. He's come to the same kind of conclusions, that the world is in change, that there's a global consciousness taking place. And this is what some of the things he has written. It's really good. I'm just going to read you a few lines. And that follows on from the last recording we did, which you just heard on openness. everything is connected to everything else. The crisis in society is evident in the failure of our systems. That's justice, medicine, business, and education. All our systems have become dysfunctional. And consequently, there is a deep crisis. You and I, we belong to this part of that crisis with our faulty thinking. We think from the past, where we are now in a different stage of being. We have this ability to change, but we usually default to the old way of thinking. We go back to our old patterns of living. And there is no easy answer, except we have to look at ourselves and how we think. We have the ability, but often we do not have the will to change. And that is something which no technology, nobody can do. We have to do it for ourselves. And we're coming to the end of the Changing Consciousness show. We need to remember that the internet is a powerful tool. It's a living image for global consciousness. And like any symbols, the internet reveals its secret of potential only if we approach with a peaceful and new open attitude. We need to acknowledge the sacred dimension of technology and spirituality. Not a church, not a religion, but it's a complete new way of being human. We have yet to fully discover that, but this dimension is emerging. And it's emerging because we're speaking like this all over the world. It's the way I came to meet Paul, the way I came to meet Ruth, the way I've come to meet many people. That's the miracle which is taking place. And the heart of that is actually we have to, if you want, desensitize ourselves. We have to let go. We have to die. There's all the kind of things that men of wisdom have spoken through the ages. You can't hold water with a closed fist. You actually have to open your hands. You have to welcome people. You have to welcome the water into your hand with a cupped hand so you can sip and be refreshed. The closed fist belonged to an era which is gone. And all the things which are coming into view now in the public, the things which are hidden in the past, all the scandals which are coming to light, are coming to light because as truth is being revealed. We don't even know what truth is because we all hold a different perception of the world. The world we see outside isn't real because the world we see outside is the world which we see from inside. And when we ourselves are faulty and we try to look at the world, we see a world which is faulty. Instead of as a child, when a child looks at the world, it looks with wonder and asks the question, why? Why are the stars in the sky? Why is the sky so blue? They haven't been conditioned, but we have been conditioned over time, and we have to move away from that default system. In the West, we have been used to seeing sacred symbols as religious symbols, and we've had ceremonies around that. And those ceremonies and the religion hasn't been real with our everyday life. We have to lose our past way of doing things. We have to get rid of that old spiritual conditioning and be open to the new life developing through science and spirituality combined. I often see that as the atom, quantum physics. We are alive, we're a part of the earth, we're part of the cosmos. We're not separate from it. We need to embrace that again. Anyway, we talk about a global consciousness, and we're also talking about a new age, which basically hasn't just started. It's something which has been coming on for ages. And I'm calling what I call rock and roll. I'm just now speaking as the Spirit moves me. And that's often dangerous territory because the whole, we don't like being open because it means becoming vulnerable. But I believe that the age we are in now, the new age, the age of Aquarius, whether it's yet to come or we're in the process of it, is one which is going to be of openness. And being open is being vulnerable. Now, I told you about my out-of-body experience. When I had that, after that second one, I haven't had any more experiences of out-of-body, but I have had dreams. And I've recorded those dreams in my autobiography, which I wrote about 6-7 years ago. And it's called Seconds Out. The ISBN number is 3995. You can get that from Amazon.com. And it's called Seconds Out by the Reverend Brian Branche. I've been called a boxing vicar mainly because I wanted to be a boxer in my younger days, and I'd won an England title at the age of 15. But somehow I found if I knocked somebody out, I'd go and pick them up and say, sorry, mate. And really, if you do things like that, you shouldn't be in the boxing game. So I suppose eventually that I went to the place where my spirit led me. But what I was going to say is that one of my dreams I had, and it seems that all my dreams somewhere in the end come back and haunt me, because dreams are basically to do with ourselves anyway, of all the junk that goes on in us. Anyway, not long after I had my out-of-body experience, I dreamt that I was standing, well, I could see myself lying in bed with my wife, Josie, beside me, and standing beside me, standing outside of my bed, were five people, 5 men. And I said to them, this is very strange because I'm talking to you, but I can see myself sleeping there. And they said, that's okay, you're in the future and you can have 3 questions. And as I looked around, I saw that the place had been blitzed. There had been a bomb, you know, like in the Blitz during the war, or as we see now on our screens in the Middle East. And there was a kind of silence, because it usually happens after there's a crash. I don't know if you've noticed that, but there's a kind of silence. And then I looked, and I saw this church partly demolished. There was just the chancellor's steps with this old man sitting on this chancellor's steps. his head was in his hands and saying, "Oh God, is it really worth it?" And I said to this chap who was standing with the group, he seemed to be the leader, and I said, "That's strange, because is that me?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "I'm a priest." And he said, "Yes." And then I noticed I was all alone. And then I said, "But where's my family?" And he said, "Well, you lost them in the revolution." And the strange thing is that within this revolution, that's exactly what's happened. In the revolution that we're changing, in this changing state of consciousness, that in this process I met Ruth and made friends in Germany. And when I went there were people who, again, were on this level of change of consciousness. And next week, when I'm in Germany, we will put some of the recordings I've done. And that's just walking in the streets or sitting in a cafe, and I've seen somebody in their body language, which makes me feel that there's something coming out of that. And I go and chat with them, and I just say, "Hi, my name's Brian. I don't speak Deutsch." And lucky enough, if Ruth's there, I get her involved, and we get a story. So next week, we'll share some of those stories from Germany. But as I say, that out-of-body experience in 125 Hartington Road, Brighton, 1968, changed my life. And I usually say to people, if you want to have an experience, you want to know what truth is, if I were you, I'd turn and run the other way. Because to face truth, to face life, to actually be real, and be real to yourself, and real to others, it's a dangerous, dangerous place to be, because you have to be vulnerable and be powerless. Okay, let's get back to some music, because I think we may be coming short of time. So we're going to have here, yeah, why not? Let's have Pink with Fracking Perfect. I'm not swearing, but she does. Well, folks, it's that time of night where I've got to sign off. I hope you've well, I can't say enjoyed the show, but I hope the things that we've been talking about has made sense, that change is taking place, and we have to act now. We have to wake up. We have to get to the task, because if we don't change things, other people will change our lives. And that actually is going on now. So we have to stop being asleep. We have to wake up and take control of our own lives. We have this opportunity. We have the capabilities with all the technology which is around. There is a change going on. The change of consciousness is taking place. I'll speak to you next week from Germany. So in the meantime, I just wish all of you a nice rest. We'll be closing with some music, and I hope you will enjoy the choice. It's going to be Oasis, Champagne Supernova, and I like it. So may your God go with you. May the wind always be on your back, or a gentle breeze. May the sun shine on your face, bringing you hope, bringing you warmth and joy. And keep alive, keep going, keep moving. And why not have a glass of champagne Join Oasis. Here we go.
Hey there, this is the Totnes Hemp Show. Hey there, this is the Totnes Hemp Show.